Hello and welcome to another Make It Sunday. Sarah here from Funky Fossil, and we're doing a kind of every week we do an inspiration video so that you can get more ideas for using your Funky Fossil products or anything you have in your craft stash. So today I want to have a bit of a play with our brand new release, which is called Dark Alchemy by Olga Heldwine. And I've got some of the products on the desk in front of me which I think I'll be using in this journal page, but of course I'm never entirely sure where the project's going to end up, but certainly these products are likely to play a part. So I will be putting a link to these products in the description box below this video. They're already on offer in my shop, so I won't do a separate Make It Sunday Makers bundle for this one because you're already able to get these fabulous papers, rub-ons and stamps with discounted prices. And you'll be able to see from this Dark Alchemy paper pad how fabulous these papers are for using in your journal. They're great for card makers and for those who want to kind of make home decor, but they've got a real kind of junk journal vintage vibe that I think is going to work great on a page. Now, the inspiration that I'm going to is my jumping off point today for the video is a very cool make from one of our design team, Sarah Edison, and she made this kind of 3D piece using a piece of that kind of book page paper that we saw in the pad. And hers is a three-dimensional project, so it's a kind of one that stands proud on your shelf. But what she did, and this is something that I had in my mind when I first saw these papers, is she's created a secret compartment in this paper, in this page. Can you see? Which is why you've got that dimension on the back there, because she's created a kind of a secret shelf with the poison bottles. She's used the rub-ons on those little vials and bottles to kind of create these kind of poison bottles that are hidden in the bookcase, which I just love. I think it's a great idea. But of course I'm wanting to work in my journal, so I don't have the opportunity to make something quite as deep as Sarah has done here, but I want to try and still do something which gives us that sense of movement and interaction on a journal page. I've done things in the past on my journal pages a bit like this kind of, this porthole that takes us through to the page behind, and I think it's a really fun thing to have in your journal are pockets and flaps and areas where you can kind of hide further bits of design or some journaling that you want to add to the page. So this particular inspiration from Sarah with Dark Alchemy has really got me wanting to translate that into this book. You can see it's already getting quite chunky. I'm kind of really filling it out now. I think I've only got a couple of pages to go before it will be at its maximum capacity. It's an A5 journal, which is got, the cover is designed by Belinda Basson from our design team. So I've already got a fabulous vintage grungy look to the exterior of this journal. This is a journal spread that I have done already with the papers from the Dark Alchemy collection and some of the rub-ons and our specimen slide dies. So you can see there how I've created something which in my mind would work in the kind of the notes of somebody who's studying their herbs and kind of bugs to kind of translate into their magical potions. And then this is the page that we did in our live on Wednesday. So we have a kind of weekly live called Why Not Wednesday, and this was the page I did there, again just showcasing the specimen slides, the fabulous rub-ons, some of the stamps, etc. So we've already been having a play with this collection. So I think what I want to do, I'm going to kind of and I, as always, I will probably work off the page before adhering my elements into the book, because you can imagine it's already getting a little bit bulky. And that's one of the things. It was a great tip actually from Belinda. What I do between layouts is I adhere the pages together. It gives them more rigidity, but also I don't need all the pages that come in this book. If you're using it as a notebook just for sketching in or writing notes, then absolutely you'll want to use every page. But if you're going to be building on these pages with your own pattern papers, stamping, stenciling, texture paste, then actually you won't need all of the pages in this book. So adhere them together. It just gives them a bit more kind of, makes them a bit more substantial, and and equally also it's a really great way of covering if you've had bleed or you've made a little bit of a mess on the back of these pages from the work you've been doing, then you can just adhere those backs together and all of that will be hidden as you go through the journal. Right, now I had already cut some of the pages out, or some papers out of the paper pads, and I've already kind of made a start on creating that kind of little alcove for our it's the wrong way around. No, it's the wrong way around. A little alcove, just as Sarah did that same segment of the book pages. All I've done is used a craft knife to cut round 3 sides of that segment in the paper where the books are going in a different direction, and just folded it back. So you can see I've already created a little kind of window that I can include in my journal page. What I have also done ahead of time, you see here how messy does that look. Of course, this is one-sided patterned paper, so the back of it is white. So I didn't want to have this this kind of area looking too stark and white, given everything else looks so vintage. So I've just added some antique linen and I think ground espresso inks just to age that segment of the paper. Now, Sarah, in her kind of a 3D project, she'd also put in a magnet because she wanted that to shut close securely when it was on display. I won't need to do that here, I think, because of course by having the book closed, this section is going to stay fairly well kind of stuck down, and I want it to be visible that there is something there for you to lift and explore. So I'm not going to put a magnet, but absolutely using magnets in your journals to create kind of flaps and pockets is a fab thing to do. And I'll be honest, I don't have any magnets at the moment, so I thought, well, okay, I can dispense with the magnets on this occasion. So now I've got the dilemma of my area behind the window, because of course, again, now this is looking very stark. And I was thinking, I think I had another page I cut out. I was thinking I'd probably use the poisons page from the Dark Alchemy paper pad. So this is just full of like labels and warning kind of signs. And I thought this would be good because in my mind, this is where our alchemist keeps their poisons concealed. So having those kind of warnings popping in behind the bookcase felt like it would work quite well. Now, if you were doing this on a card front or something where you weren't concerned about the dimension that you were creating, you could absolutely adhere this top layer with foam tape, so you'd have a further dimension and create a bit more kind of shadow, almost a real kind of area that you look into. But again, I'm very mindful that my journal is already very bulky, so I'm going to leave these pages adhered flat. So I think that's what I'm going to do on this side, and then we've got to think about what we're going to put into our little nook there, and how we're going to decorate the rest of this part of the journal spread. And then on the other side, I thought we would use our wonderful page again from Dark Alchemy, but it's the one with all the butterflies on. And what I think I'm going to do, and I haven't done this ahead of time, is there are three pages of each design in the book, and in that spirit of finding places on my journal pages to add tags and further ephemera, I want to create a pocket on this book, on this page, and I thought I would use another of those butterfly pages, just as I've found it there, and cut a strip, the same strip as is on this base layer, and so that can go over the top, and it will look like a seamless page, but it will also be a pocket or a tuck place where I can put either specimen slides or labels, depending on what I decide I'm going to do. So let me just pull that out of the pad, and I'll just go off camera just to trim that, and then we've got the paper elements of this journal spread ready to go. And the next part of the video will be thinking through how we're going to fill our little secret nook here and decorate and add some further interest to these pages. So I shall be back in a second when I've done a bit of cutting and sticking. Right, well, I'm back again. I wandered off, got distracted, had a meander. So this is what I did between turning the camera off last time. I've stuck the poison paper down. But what I have done when I've stuck the poison paper down is just adhered it on 3 sides. The reason being, I suddenly thought, oh, this would be a great tuck spot as well, so I can put a fantastic tag in behind our pages. It's almost going to have 3 layers to it, this page, but I can have a tag that's going to be popping up at the top of the journal. So I've made it into effectively a pocket. I've added a little bit of ink around the edge of our butterfly page just to kind of draw that eye in, make it a little bit more vintage. And as I said before, I turned the camera off, I've cut a second strip from that same paper that I can now glue down and make a further pocket. So let me just do that now while I'm talking to you, and then we'll get on to some further decorative bits on these pages. So again, I have to say this aloud because I just need to remind myself, only glue on 3 sides, because you do want this to be somewhere where you can actually adhere or tuck further journaling elements. I'm still not stuck this onto the page yet, and the reason being, I don't know if I'm going to want to do some stamping or stenciling or something that's going to make it easy while the page is completely flat on my desk rather than in the journal. So there we go. Obviously wait for that to adhere, but that I like, again, for me it feels that although I've been down the edge so you can see that there's a join there, it's nice that all of that is continuous, so that this pocket is sitting exactly on top of the page below. Now of course, if you didn't have the luxury of several copies of the same design, then you could have just had this piece of paper, cut it in 2, and of course adhere this part of it almost as a pocket directly onto the blank page. So I'm being quite generous in terms of laying one strip over the other. I could have done it where I just literally cut the same piece into 2 parts. So don't feel you need to double up on your paper if you are hoarding them for future good uses. So now I'm thinking about what will go in our little cubby hole, and my lovely friend Ali, one of the design team, made me a matchbox with lots of embellishments or images from the stamp sets, so that I already have look at this with the matchbox. So she's stamped in white heat embossed onto just black cardstock, and then I've got a little fantastic treasure trove full of images from our Dark Alchemy stamp sets. So I have not stamped and heat embossed these, so I better, full disclosure. So I've got these in black and white, and part of me really likes the black and white, just that because they fit so beautifully into this aperture, and I quite like the fact that we have the contrast, we have the pop of the black and white, but I do think I'm going to add colour to them because I just think that will work a bit better. Work a bit better for this particular page. So let's add a bit of colour to these. Really simply, I'll just use some Distress Oxides and do a bit of very basic watercolouring. I think I might use some glossy accents as well to give the look of proper glass. But will the glossy accents activate the distress? Not sure. Let's have a look. So I think I'm going to go for fairly subdued colours or muted colours, because I wanted this to still work within the overall colour scheme. So yeah, So I'll go with the ground display. I think I'll go with the dark blue, the chipped sapphire. And obviously we're not going for any kind of realism here, so so I've got my salvage patina. I thought will go well for the glass elements of the vials, and then these could be the colours of our actual potions. So I'm just putting them out onto my glass mat. Peel paint, fossilised amber and chipped sapphire. And I've got some quite murky water up my side here, and I have a water brush. Completely counterintuitively, I still do work on the basis I dip my water. I don't fill the barrel with water. I just use it as a normal brush. So I'm just putting a bit of water down. I don't know what cardstock Ali has used here in terms of whether it's a watercolour card, so I thought at least if I put some water down first it won't absolutely suck the ink up straight away, but I don't know how much water it will take at the same time, so just treading carefully with it. And I say it is super simple. I'm not looking to do anything sophisticated in relation to the kind of watercolour look that I get. It really is just a case of adding some colour and making it blend with the page, with the colour scheme of the page. And I always say this with when you're using pattern papers, obviously they give you a great kind of starting point when you're stuck for a colour combination or a palette to use for your project. Then if you were going to use pattern paper in the project, then that's already kind of guiding you in terms of the colour choices you might want to make. Because I do think it's good to have contrast, but equally, so you might sometimes want to have a kind of a contrasting colour on your page, but it also, you don't want to use too many colours on your page, or it becomes a little bit hard for the eye to know what you're trying to convey. That chipped sapphire is nice. I do like chipped sapphire. I always think it looks like kind of real indigo ink. So there we go. So there's our 3 vials of vials of potions. Let's put some pale salvage patina around that, just to again convey the impression of glass. It's a I love salvage patina, such a lovely pale colour. I used to use tumble glass all the time, but I have moved on more to salvage patina in recent times. Fun fact for you. But again, you use what inks or colours you have. You can colour with your pencils, your markers, whatever is your medium of choice. I just could do quite like, when I'm not looking to really get a massive amount of depth, one of the lovely things about these illustrations in this stamp set is you'll see is you already have a fantastic amount of kind of shading of the kind of hatch lines that are already in the line art, so it doesn't require you to be particularly sophisticated in your colouring, because you already have that kind of shading built into the image. Let me just put a bit of ground espresso on the corks, and also because Ali's clear heat embossed these images, the line art will reject or resist the watercolour, which is always makes it helpful. So I think that's fine. So we've now got our three potions to go in our little hidden cabinet. Let me just wipe this down. I always put far too much out. If you don't want to waste your ink, of course, then this would be a great time to spray them with water and then pick them up on your cardstock. I'm just going to get my surface clean for now. So these are cool. I really like my 3 little vials. They're so fun. And I think I'm going to attempt, have I got some with me? I think I'm going to attempt glossy accents just on the bottles to give them again that glazed look, but I will do that off camera, and then of course that will take a little bit of drying time, so I shall do that in a second. And if it does lift or move the distress, then obviously I can tell you that to avoid doing that yourself. I'm always happy to try and help where I can. So we've got something to go in our little into our little nook, where have I put it? And then I was thinking, we've got this fabulous little doorway, which obviously we've already added that distress ink to, but it'd be quite cool to have a further bit of detail. And I thought I could use this rub-on. So the A5 set of rub-ons, there are 4 sheets in there, and they've got a stack of different designs and images, from the kind of beautiful watercolory florals to kind of celestial symbols to this fantastic sheet of poison and vintage labels, which I think you're going to have lots of fun with. So there are, and of course, as you will have seen, will go brilliantly with our poison paper for layering on top and making all the images cohesive. But I thought I'd have these herbs hanging from the inside of the door. I think they're going to fit there quite nicely. Now this distress ink is dry. That is one thing to be aware of. With your rub-ons, they will adhere to so many surfaces, your plastics, your glass, wood, canvas, so many different things, but they do not like any kind of moisture on the surface. So even if you think of only used ink, make sure you've let it completely dry before attempting to adhere your rub-on. So I've cut it from the base carrier sheet. I'm using a bone folder here to burnish it onto our door. And hopefully that will go on nice and smoothly. I think we've all become slightly obsessed with rub-ons, haven't we? Because they just add another level of seamless finish, a kind of really professional printed look to your projects. So if you haven't tried them, or you remember trying them and weren't that impressed, definitely try out this kind of next generation of rub-ons, because they really do create the most stunning effects. So I'm slowly kind of lifting this away, the top carrier sheet, so that if anything has not transferred, I've got the ability to kind of reapply it. But you can see there from the carrier sheet, on the bit that was off the edge of our page, that's all absolutely seamless. Just gives a great finish, doesn't it? So that now looks, you wouldn't know that this was single-sided paper, because with that bit of inking and that rub-on, this now looks like it kind of opens onto another page in our papers, another pattern page. So that's going to look great. So where's my journal gone? So we've got here our page as it's developing, and we're going to be putting our vials that fit just so neatly into there. You see how fabulous it's going to come together. So I'm going to do the glossy accents, as I said. I'm going to have a think about how we're going to add further interest or detail. Do you know what I think I will do? Is I think I'll cut out some butterflies from this page, the pattern paper, because that will add a bit more further dimension to this page. And on this page I think I'll do a little bit of stenciling, just to kind of lift. It's quite a dark and moody page with the books. I think I might lift that with a bit of our Stella paste. And also, just while I'm waiting for our glossy accents to dry, I will ink around. So I've cut 2 more pages from the Dark Alchemy paper pad with a large tag die, and I've cut 2 of them so that I can adhere them back to back, and so that if it's a protrusion from the top of the journal, both sides will have decoration on them. So I'm going to adhere those together and add some inking around the edge. And then when all those little bits and pieces have been done and we're ready to do a bit of stenciling and add some final elements to this journal page, I shall be back with you. Well, my head has been going off in all sorts of directions while I've been waiting for things to kind of dry. I've put the glossy accents onto my fabulous potion bottles, so they look nice and shiny now. Hopefully you can catch that in the camera. But of course, while I've had that drying time, I've had all sorts of ideas for how we can kind of further embellish this page. First off, I want to add a bit of stenciling, mainly because I feel like the this book paper, though gorgeous and got real kind of depth of colour, is also quite a dark shade of brown. So I thought I'd add a little bit of gold with our Stella paste and the Field Note stencil, which is part of the new Dark Alchemy collection. Oh, and I found magnets as well while I was rummaging around in my craft room, so we can put a magnet on the on our little secret cubby hole as well. So I'm probably not going to get all of this done in today's video, because it will go on for hours. And don't you just love it when that happens, when you start creating and you get so many ideas that you could almost kind of create kind of 3 journal pages just from the things that you want to do on this one. So I'm just going in this top corner. As you can see, I'm focusing particularly on the script that's part of this stencil, and really just wanting to add a little bit of fabulous script detail. It looks gorgeous. There's a real dimension on this as well. I don't know if you can see it there. So it's just going to kind of add a little bit of highlight and sparkle to the page. I'm going to add a little bit just in this bottom corner. I'm trying obviously to avoid our aperture and not wanting to kind of clog that up with paste. So just trying to be careful where I position the stencil. And of course we're going to have more drying time now, aren't we, with while the Stella paste dries. But that's fine, because we can work on the tag while we're waiting for this to dry. Really pleased with that. And again, so when you're looking at something like this Field Note stencil, where you've got the floral element and the script, you just use the elements or the parts of the design that you particularly want for your project. It gives you lots of options, a stencil like that, because you can go with either the script or the floral, or both. Just let me have a quick tidy, get the paste off my palette knife and drop the stencil into some water. So yeah, the Stella paste are definitely worth checking out in terms of the dimension they can give you with your stencils. Really nice, rich buttery consistency and lots and lots of colour in them. So this is now, I think, looking rather cool. Let's say I found some little magnets. They're the ones I think that Crafts 2 do. So what I've done is I've just cut a piece of the paper, I think it's from the label sheet on the in the alchemy book. Here it is. So just this sheet here, and I just literally cut out one small element to create a tab that we can add to our little doorway there. So I can position this. I'm going to have to try and do all this carefully because obviously we've got wet paste here, and I can put this carefully so it helps me know where to position the magnet on the other side of the page for the closure. And of course, because we haven't as yet stuck this down, I'm able to do these. Let me make a mark because I'm not going to be able to kind of hold everything with wet paste on it. She says make a mark, and I can't, in a room like this I'm struggling to even find a pen, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Here we go. A micron pen. So just, if I think that I want to put my magnet about here, so then we can put the glue on the other side. I'm rubbish with magnets in terms of making. I always end up that works, doesn't it? I always end up with them kind of repelling each other rather than working as closures. So I'm hoping. Oh yeah, I've got this right around. I'm hoping this isn't going to go horribly wrong. So. There we go. I'll just let that glue settle before we look to adhere everything. So obviously while the glue's wet and moving, I don't want the magnets to kind of pull away. So I'm going to leave this to dry momentarily, and let's have a little bit of a look at the large tag that's going to go in that pocket we created behind the main page. So two tags adhered together. I thought I would use the same stencil. I have got another one here. I haven't washed it that quickly. Yeah, and I thought I would use it with some ink this time because we want the tag to slide in and out of the pocket. I don't want to add too many bulky elements to the tag, otherwise it will start to catch as it's moving. So we shall add some ground espresso. This is just about now customizing my papers, adding some further interest to them. You don't need to do this at all. You could just be using your pattern papers for photographs and journaling and the elements really of your journal page that you don't necessarily want visible to everybody flicking through, but you know are there. It's lovely rich dark brown ground espresso, so it's going to hopefully stand out against the neutral colours of this tag. And I'm catching some of the script, but I want it to fade away. I don't want it to look like it's too regimented. That's nice. So can you see, hopefully, well, we've just got that fade away. Of course this is nice and flat, we haven't got the dimension of the paste to work with. Now I also want to put some rub-ons onto here to decorate it. One thing, however, with rub-ons, I think I said this earlier, didn't I, when I was talking about the herbs that we used. It doesn't like ink that's in any way wet or damp. So I'm going to give this a second, just to kind of dry naturally before we add some rub-ons. And I'm going to think of some embellishments for our wonderful library page. And what I thought I'd do, I thought I'd use one of the Tim Holtz, what are they called? the vintage dolls, the Ideology dolls. Now these are kind of on chipboard, and what I have done is I've taken a few layers of the chipboard away. Really easy to do with these. Just as I have also, I've got a kind of one of the word chips, and I've taken quite a lot of that away to make it relatively flat. So again, if you're using these kind of elements in your journal and don't want it to become overly bulky, these kind of embellishments can be peeled back and made a little bit thinner. I've kept him relatively chunky because I want him to sit on the door of the library. In my head, and this is just the way my kind of brain's been working on this, he's a spirit of the alchemist. I think he's drunk his own poison, and he's a spirit kind of just guarding the cubbyhole where he's hidden his potions. And what I'm going to do, because he is a spirit, she says, is I'm going to add butterfly wings to the back of him. So these are the wings that we have cut out from the page with the butterflies on. So this is the butterfly paper. This is a large butterfly that is a full image. So I've cut out a butterfly, cut the butterfly in two, and we'll just adhere that to the back of our alchemist. Now, when we have him sitting on the doorway, we won't want him fully adhered, otherwise he'll shut the doorway. So we do want him sitting on, adhered to the door, if that makes sense, rather than adhered to the whole page. I'm hoping it won't be too heavy. We'll see, won't we? My journal's going to get really bulky now, isn't it, with all these fabulous elements on it. So I cut the butterfly into as a single image, but I wanted to be able to position the wings at an angle that suited me. So hopefully you can see. I think that looks about right, doesn't it? I think it does. So all that is unfortunately going to be visible. What I could have done if I thought about it before would have been to trace round this image, this figure, cut it out maybe in black card, and then once I'd put the wings on, adhered the black card to the back so all of that was hidden. But I didn't think of that until just this very second. So he'll be able to sit there on the doorway. We'll have our hinge. How's our glue looking? I think that should have set enough. So let's add our hinge. I'm going to just put some glue on the inner workings here so it adheres to both sides of the little. There we go. Oops. Well, we know the magnets attract, so that's a good sign. It's a good start. Crikey. There we go. In fact, I'm going to put it over there for now while it's drying. Isn't it great when you get an idea and it just kind of keeps spiralling and getting more and more elaborate as you go? Though I am very conscious I don't want this video to go on for too long, so I'm going to draw it to a close here really. So I'm letting that dry. Gee whiz, that is cool, isn't it? I'm pleased I found those magnets. In the meantime, we've got our alchemist with his wings. We've got our doorway with its magnet. We've got our opposite page with the pocket there, which I won't today fill with anything because, say, I am conscious of time. But what I thought I would do to embellish this this pocket is attach one of the elements again from the pattern paper that I've just literally cut out. This image is on top of the circle, so I've just cut into it a little bit so I can tuck it slightly when I'm adhering it, and it will just again that sense of collage, layering up. making things really interesting as we explore the journal and look at all the different things that are being put inside. So, oh, let me add a little bit of glue to this top bit here as well. And this is what, hopefully this is what you'll do when you get your papers. You'll be thinking about all these different elements that have been packed into the designs that make great backgrounds as single sheets, but equally when you start to really look at how you can make them bespoke to fit your project, you'll see that there are lots of elements in here that you can take out of those pages and layer up in different configurations. So I'm hoping this tag is kind of dry, but it still feels a little bit damp to the touch. I do find the distress inks take a little while to dry. What was I thinking I might add to it though? I thought it would be nice to add, given we've got the herbs drying, and I also want to add kind of maybe one of the butterflies. We would add just some herbs from the rub-ons. Scissors. Let's cut this large one out. And you've seen me use the rub-ons before, so I won't spend an awful lot of time adding further rub-ons to this page while on camera. I might carry on doing it when I'm off camera, but you will already have, I'm sure, got a very clear understanding of how these work. So I think if I add this here, I'm hoping that my ink from the stenciling is sufficiently dry not to cause me any issues. We'll find out. We shall burnish so there'll still be space on this tag to add some journaling or writing if that's what I decide to do. We've at least decorated the papers, so not quite as plain. I can feel the rub-ons moving around, it's just whether it's translating. It is where the ink is still wet. It's a bit there, didn't go. What I like about these kind of watercolour elements that Olga's added behind the images is you see where there's a bit there that didn't translate, but actually it really doesn't matter because we're looking at a tag that's already got distressed elements to it, and it means that kind of background's showing through a little bit as well. So I'll just add a very quick butterfly to this one. Then I'm going to adhere the whole butterfly down. Normally I would like to leave the wings a little bit raised, but as we were saying earlier, this tag's going to go in and out of the page. So we don't really want any part of it to be kind of loose, otherwise it will probably get stuck. So I'm going to leave the tag at that. I think I am feeling a sentiment's required up there, but I'm going to leave it for now. Let's stick down the pages as we've got them. My paste is still a little bit damp, but it's not too damp given the image that we've stenciled isn't too heavy. So glue all around. Those magnets are strong, aren't they? Wanting to make sure. Stop it, it's stopping itself doing it. There we go. I'm wanting to make sure that the oh, now having done that, I think I'll be alright. I was going to say, having done that while no, I don't think I'll close up my tab at the back for the pocket. We'll find out again, as with everything. If I have closed it up, then I can put my tab in here. So we've got the glue. Let us put our little potion bottles in the cubby hole, which is the whole thing that started this rigmarole. I want to put this one behind. And they do fit quite neatly into this space, which is just a happy accident. So they shouldn't be visible behind the door. But hopefully now we've got the magnet on this little. I'm tempted not to put this one in actually. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it with the two. I'm giving them a good push down. Let's see. That's great. And then we've got our winged alchemist. We'll put him on the top there. But I will only add the adhesive down to this bottom end of the image. Because obviously I don't want to stick him to the page. Just be super careful for now. I'm trying to make sure the wings don't get caught up as well. Well, actually I hadn't thought that through, have I? Because of course that will stop, his wings will stop him from, that wing anyway, will stop him, the door from opening. So I'm just going to give him one wing. There we go. Yeah, so that will ensure that the door still opens okay. Oh, I'm glad I realised that. Actually, I like that because it kind of adds further to the quirkiness of the composition. So, final thing to do. Honestly, there are so many bits and pieces here. I could carry on going. I'm thinking, yeah, I think I'll add a little butterfly onto this area that we've got sticking out now from our kind of pocket. So you can see as I'm going along and talking away here how I'm sure you will equally become kind of enthralled with the stories you're telling on your page. So I'm going to have Stay Curious. As I say, it's one of the ideology word chips that I have thinned down. I'll add a little bit of ink just to the edges, just again to soften them and make them fit nicely with the vintage colours of the page. You could absolutely just add any stamps to create sentiments that work for you. And I'll put that underneath our secret hatch. And now that he's sat on it, it feels even more secret, doesn't it? Because there's other things that are going to kind of catch the eye before you realise there's something there to pull up. Just starting to push this down. I think because I've revealed the back, it's quite porous. It might have absorbed the glue rather than attaching it. So this, fingers crossed, this pocket still works behind the main page, and that will stick out as we've got there. So you can see, hopefully, and I'm sorry this took a bit longer than I was originally planning, but I got carried away. But we've now got 3, just on this one journal spread, we've got a pocket for our specimen slides or for more tags. We've got our fabulous kind of hidden storage space with our specimen bottles, and I'm going to do something about this because it will annoy me. And we've also got a further secret pocket hidden away behind the page where we've been able to add a further tag, a large tag, with which will give us some more journaling space. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've got kind of the idea of customizing your papers and adding some interactive elements into your journal page and having fun with all of that. And I will obviously share a picture of the final version of this with you, and hope that you're inspired to have a go at something similar too. All of the products you can find in the Funky Fossil web shop. They've all just literally recently been released, so do check them out. They're a fantastic price, and as you can see, work perfectly with other products and other ranges. So have fun, and I hope very much you've enjoyed this Make It Sunday. See you again soon.